Hi, it's Michael, and welcome back to another SkyPortal how-to. So today we're going to be taking a look at GCNs and GCN summaries. So the idea here is that you can use SkyPortal to produce automated summaries that are distributable through GCN. So the nice thing about this is typically when doing follow-up observations, it's often the case where, after you've taken some observations, you will sit down and you will maybe open a text editor and, compile an email to send through GCN. And we're going to show you a little bit about some of the tools to at least simplify this within SkyPortal. And so if we start here with our at our home page, we're going to be going to a new tab today. And so if you look in the observation tab, and so we'll talk more extensively about this in a future video. But in the meanwhile, we are going to first recover some historical observations for a particular event that happened a couple of years ago now, and we'll talk a little bit more about it towards the end of this video. But suffice to say, in broad strokes, what this panel makes possible, you can basically retrieve observations in a variety of ways. And so, for example, if I have observations that I want to upload from a file, you can do it through this form. And if I have observations I want to retrieve through an API, you can do it through this form. Yeah, so what we're doing at the moment is we are retrieving observations from ZTF, in this case from a couple of years ago. I've chosen August 25th, 2020, because the object of interest occurred something like a day after that, and then I've requested observations up to a week later. It's convenient to specify start and end time for these observations simply because the queries to the external server that has the ZTF observations, these are not tiny queries. You're basically retrieving information about all of the observations that ZTF in this case took within that week. And so if you imagine ZTF's taking 30-second images, and it's over many nights, these are thousands of observations that we are ingesting into the database in the meantime. And so while we wait, we can maybe go back to the GCN event panel and then click on the particular, in this case, GRB that we're interested in. And so we've seen pages like this before. So you'll notice that this event was on August 26th of 2020, right around the time where we're requesting observations from. And we're going to take a look at the analysis panel in this case. So this is relatively new for us. So we have a simple sky map for this particular GRB. It's a Fermi GRB, and so the localization is very large. And so we can take a look at what this panel contains. And so I just showed you how to retrieve observations. We'll also be wanting to retrieve sources for within those that resulted from those observations. And to do so here, we can click on the catalog query. And once again, we have a form that has localization, the start and end date, probability, and so on. Here we'll choose a ZTF option in the dropdown, and we'll click start, and then we'll go back to the original page. And so what's happening here is we are querying an external server to retrieve the ZTF objects within this sky map. So as you can imagine, if I was to retrieve all objects that, for example, ZTF found over that entire week, it would not be a small query that you're doing, but instead, in this case, you know, it's you're restricted to just sources within the particular sky map that we're interested in. And so we can, to take a look at what's coming out, we can refresh this page. And we can go back down to our catalog query, and we can look at our catalog query requests. You can see that the submission's still pending, and so we can maybe just wait another few seconds here. We can look at our localization, and we can actually query for the sources within the sky map, and we can see if those are complete. And so I will click submit here. And you can see on the right-hand side of the panel here that we now have a bunch of sources within our localization. And you have some options here. You can restrict the number of detections, so demand more detections than 2. You can change the cumulative probability, so restrict to within the 50 percentile or something like that. But if we go and take a look at the map, now we have the sources that we are interested in, and so I promised some kind of summary. So this is nice for evaluating. You can click on these and go to the source pages for these individual sources, which is nice. But here we're going to click on the summary to get some kind of textual representation of the follow-up that was done. And so here, I'll choose a group, and then I will, in this case, request the sources and the observations. And here we have an option where we restrict the photometry to be within the window of time. So this is a week afterwards of the GRB event, and we click submit. And it takes a few seconds, but we get a summary of the various objects that you have within the sky map. And so here, what you can see is we have 35 sources within the localization, and we have a nice curated table of photometry for all of the sources that we have access to here. Yes, so and then you might recall that a few minutes ago now we requested the list of observations that ZTF took for the associated time. We also provide a textual summary of those observations, basically when the observations happened, how many images they corresponded to, how much time that took, how much of the localization was covered, in this case 94%, and then again a table that summarizes the delta T for how many hours after did observations begin, the MJDs, the right ascension declination, filter exposure time, and limiting magnitude for those observations. And so the idea here is you would copy this summary into some kind of text editor, make the changes that are desired, and send it by GCN to the broader community to explain your follow-up. And so yes, so to end this video here, I just want to highlight the paper that this particular GRB was based on. Tomas Ahumada led an analysis where we did follow up with ZTF and confirmed the shortest gamma ray burst from a collapsar by finding, in this case, a supernova consistent with one of these objects in the localization. If we go back to the event itself, and we look at we can retrieve the sources once again, and then click submit. And then we have the sources and localization. We have this ZTF20AB whiskey, let's say, and that turned out to be the counterpart after follow-up observations. I hope that you learned something with this how-to, and as always, please provide comments and feedback on this video, and we look forward to the next time with the next topic that we will cover. Thanks for listening.